Hi guys, what's going on? Welcome to AdamMcKola TV. I am Adam. We are live. This is the reaction to Manchester United's 0-0 draw with Alkmaar out in Holland. I have been live on the watch along for full-time Devils for 2.5 hours talking about that game, and that game was frankly awful. Now we got Radio Gaz out there getting fan cams, talking to Reds while I'm here with you, sat at home, having a beer, talking about the game as it just went down. What did you make of that then, ladies and gentlemen? What did you think of United today out in Holland? The performance, quite frankly, not good enough, but the result in the grand scheme of things isn't a bad result at all. When you're in these European competitions and you start off with a home game and an away game, if you get 4 points, it's not the end of the world. It's a pretty decent return. But Manchester United's performance today was not a decent return, and it was not good enough for Manchester United. We need to see more. We need to see more evidence of a style of play on the training pitch. We need to see more evidence that we're trying to make things happen. It's far too static, far too easy for teams to defend against Manchester United, sit in play, 2 banks of 4, and soak up the pressure. There's not enough happening in between the lines. There's not enough happening in behind defences. We're not doing enough to break teams down. And listen, Alkmaar didn't just sit back today. They actually came out at us at times. But what Manchester United's problem is, every time we get the ball, we overthink the pass. We don't just pass the ball. When we do pass the ball sometimes, it's going out for throw-ins, it's going to opposition players, it's not sticking. But frankly, we don't play the passes quick enough. I want to see signs that we don't have to think. We know there's always going to be players in possession. We know there's players always going to be in position. We don't have to think about anything. So we're looking at the moment, and United are just overthinking everything, every pass. You think, oh, there's a quick option, play it. And they don't play it. They take a second or two, then they play it, and then their teammates marked up. So then the moves breaking down, they're playing back where it's safe, and United aren't progressing with the ball going forward. There's not enough players taking risks, making things happen, trying to do things. Now today we started off with a team that we did rest a lot of players, but it wasn't a weak team. You look at that team, David De Gea in goal, didn't have a great deal to do. Although Alkmaar were having the better of the opportunities, he had a few saves to make. He didn't have a great deal. He wasn't overworked. At fullback we had Diogo Dalot and Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams making his first start for the club. I thought he did reasonably well. He can't be embarrassed by what he did today. He did okay. He tried to do things going forward. Hopefully he can improve in that area in terms of creating things, in terms of, you know, his runs, overlapping, etc. But he didn't have a bad first debut for the team. He wasn't the problem today. Diogo Dalot on the other side, getting forward an awful lot, getting position an awful lot. I want to see better delivery from him. But the facts are, Diogo Dalot, even if he does the perfect delivery into the box, there's not enough men in the box when he receives the ball. So he's having to wait, and then things are breaking down again, and we're going backwards and we're going sideways, and we're playing in front of defences and midfields, and teams are finding it easy to soak things up. Lindelof and Rojo at centre-half today, although they had a few clumsy moments or they gave possession away a few times, they did ultimately keep a clean sheet, and they weren't, you know, they comfortably handled everything that came their way aerially more often than not. Then in the midfield we had Fred and Matic, who had a pretty dreadful game, and that was the problem for United. Possession wasn't sticking. Matic overthinking everything, too slow, too clumsy, too cumbersome, too heavy-footed, not good enough. Fred giving the ball away all the time. And I thought actually in the second half, Fred, in fact, tried to make things happen. He tried to, you know, keep the tempo of the play going, but that's lost when you're losing the ball. When you're picking up the ball, moving it and losing it, that's lost. And he had a bad game today. It wasn't good enough. And again, I've been supportive of Fred, and I've said I want to see him given opportunities. I want to see him introduced into the first team alongside McTominay and Pogba. But when you're playing like that, you're finding it difficult for the manager to select you. Luckily for him, we haven't got much options. But the way Matic and Fred are playing at the moment, I wouldn't be surprised if Ali went and started calling upon the likes of James Garner soon. Because quite frankly, they're not doing enough for us. And then further forward in behind the striker, who was Mason Greenwood today, although he spent a lot of time out wide and Daniel James was spending time up top. We had Danny James, Juan Mata and Angel Gomez. Now Angel Gomez again showing glimpses, but again he was guilty of giving the ball away at times. We can cope with our front four giving the ball away at times because they've got to take risks. The problem is when it comes from your two central midfielders, Fred and Matic, and they were losing the ball far too often. Mason Greenwood today drifting out wide, not going, when he was up top, he wasn't really doing enough. And today he didn't have a great performance. You're looking at it overall, it wasn't a very good performance from Manchester United. Daniel James tried as you'd expect him to, but we didn't get a result. We didn't get a goal. We didn't really look like scoring. We had two opportunities. One that was worked for Mason Greenwood, it got blocked by Ron Vlaar. Another that was worked for Jesse Lingard, and he hit it just wide. Apart from that, we should have had a penalty when Marcus Rashford was brought down. Stonewall penalty. Ref looked at his Lionel looked at the ref. None of them gave him the decision. It was an obvious decision that it was a foul, and it was a penalty for Manchester United. But we probably didn't deserve a win. And you've got to stick your penalties away, and as we've seen so far this season, we haven't always stuck our penalties away. So you're looking at that and you're thinking United's performance today overall throughout the positions wasn't good enough. Positives, we kept the clean sheet. Brandon Williams got his first start, but apart from that, not much. Angel Gomez getting minutes, Mason Greenwood getting minutes, and in fact Mason Greenwood probably would have learnt a lot today. Mason Greenwood, in terms of playing up top against an experienced head like Ron Vlaar, who was marking pretty well, Alkmaar playing pretty well, defensively solid, compact unit, he would have learnt an awful lot today. So it is a learning curve for these players, but we need to see the performances, particularly coming from the experienced players that started, because we had enough. We had enough. Lindelof, Rojo, experienced De Gea, experienced Matic, Fred. We had a very experienced spine to that team, and we didn't give the youngsters a platform to actually do enough. Mata, another experienced player, we weren't picking him out enough on the ball. We weren't getting him into positions where he could cause them problems. It was far too easy for Alkmaar to defend against us. Far too easy for Rochdale to defend against us. Astana to defend against us. Palace to defend against us. We've seen when teams want to come and play against Man United and defend, we cannot break them down. It's as simple as that. And that is why I'll say it again. It has to come from the coaching staff, the manager. I want to see evidence of a style of play. What are we working on the training field? Yes, Ole deserves time. He needs time to bring in players and get players in certain positions to help us, mould the team that he possibly wants to see at Manchester United. But in order for you to get that time, we have to get results. So what are you doing with what you have at this moment in time in order to get results? Are we seeing enough evidence of work on the training field? And I don't think we are. We're not seeing enough patterns of play. We're not seeing enough passive movements. We're not seeing enough triangles, moves, pressing. The press isn't good enough when we are pressing. So what are we trying to do? I need to see evidence from that, and I need to see more from the team, from the manager, from the coaching staff, from everybody. Today, look, Angel Gomez, Mason Greenwood, two very young players with massive potential who are going to hopefully do great things for Manchester United. But today, when Mason Greenwood went off, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer laughing and joking with him. Michael Carrick on the sidelines with Angel Gomez, smiling and laughing. And I just feel like there's not enough will to win. There's not enough, winning is everything. And we need to instill this attitude in these players. Yes, this season we're not going to win the big trophies that we want. We're not going to get the Champions League and the Premier League. We're probably not even going to finish in top 4. But I want to see evidence of progression. And I want to see evidence that these players are being challenged to improve, challenged to fight for a spot, challenged to hold things down. Do you remember what we used to criticise Arsenal for under Arsene Wenger? That they were too nice. It was too easy for their players. They could come and go, lose games, not really matter as long as they put, And that's kind of what we're seeing. We need to see an improvement in that. I want to see demands for results. You look at Chris Wilder the other day with Dean Henderson, and he got criticised for his opinion, which was that he didn't really care how Dean Henderson felt after making that mistake, and he had to learn the hard way and man up and realise that these things matter in the Premier League. These things matter. Points matter, and we need to see evidence of that at United. 1, an improvement in the style of play. 2, a demand for winning, a winning mentality being built amongst this team. We're not seeing it at this moment in time. Everything is too nice. I want the teammates to demand more of each other. The manager, the coaching staff demand more of each other. Now today, it's not the end of the world. It's not a bad result. In the grand scheme of things, 4 points out of 6. We went to probably my most difficult away game in the group and we got a point. It's not a big deal. We managed to rest players. Pogba didn't play. Rashford didn't play 90 minutes. Maguire didn't play. Wan-Bissaka was obviously not involved anyway, but he didn't play. You know, we got to rest players, fair enough. But, Standard Liège nearly scoring there. But we need more. We need to see more. Why don't we attack through the middle? Because we haven't got the slickness. We haven't got the movement. We haven't got enough coming from there. Ala Abu Al Fool, thank you very much for your comment. He says, respect to you and Stephen. Ollie's going to make it, trust. So that is someone that is actually showing a little bit of trust in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and saying he needs time. Now, I do believe he needs time. He needs time. Of course he needs time. I agree with you. But I want to see evidence of what he's trying to achieve on the training pitch. Please show me that. We need to see more as the season progresses. It's still very early in the season. That's fine. But we need to see more as the season goes on. Brandon Williams was man of the match for me. You can see Herrera's influence and tempo direction is missing, says Bartholomew. Dan says Rashford isn't levels compared to other elite strikers. We can't expect a player to be an elite striker at 21. Then number 8 didn't break a sweat, says Armando. Can't play Matic in a 2-man midfield, says Aditya. And I totally agree with you. And on the other hand, as we're talking about Arsenal nearly conceding to go and score. So they're playing an under-strength team and scoring. So it shows you, when you're playing under strength, there still has to be demands for victory there. And I don't think I'm seeing enough of that. Tactical inflexibility and not being harsh on bad performers will cost Ollie, says Dan. I think there's a balance to how you do it. I think there's a balance. Like, we remember seeing Fergie on the sidelines bollocking Johnny Evans. But then he'd go in front of the press and defend Johnny Evans. And like, there's a balance to how you do things. And I think Ollie is friendly in front of the press, which is fine. And he has to be supportive and not hang his players out to dry. But also, I want to see demands. The likes of Roy Keane say there are demands there from him. And he is a natural winner. And I can understand you being that as a player. You've got to show it as a manager as well. No disrespect, but Matic is over, says Anshum. And I think we can all agree on the Manya Matic being done. I just think we need to start blooding in James Garner now. Actually start blooding in players that we're going to be hoping to use as the season progresses. Ollie is definitely going to get sacked and it will all restart again, says Legend123. We are missing a striker, says Mo has. Any more comments coming through from you guys? Keep your thoughts coming in on everything Manchester United. And of course, AZ Alkmaar, Delo and Rojo were awful, says another one of the comments. Rashford is not better than Mane, Augustine, Kane, Abraham or Son. That's funny because a year ago everyone would have been saying Abraham is nowhere near Rashford. Abraham will go through a patch where everyone's talking about him like this. Younger players will. It's a fact of life. It's how they come through them, and we need to see. The problem for United is we're relying too much on these guys at the moment. We're over-reliant on them. We need Martial back as well to try and take some of the pressure off Rashford, but we're over-reliant on them. Arsenal 2-0 already, absolutely taking the piss. Oh, Man United, what are you doing to me? Fred was awful, says Derek. Poch will go to Real, says Andre. The direction of United is bad, more for money than for sport, which is absolutely bang on when it comes to the hierarchy. Who was my man of the match? I don't really want to give a man of the match because I don't think anyone really deserved it, but I'll give it to Brandon Williams. I thought he did okay today. He didn't do too badly at all. Only matter of time before he's sacked. Too much money will be lost for the Glazers. And when it is a financial decision from the Glazers, they will, of course, act like the good old Andy Tate once said. Guys, this has been my reaction to Manchester United's draw with Alkmaar. It has been a disappointing performance. Not an end-of-the-world result, but we do need to see more in terms of performances. We've got Newcastle coming up at the weekend. Now, the good thing for us is hopefully Pogba's available for that, although I don't know. Rashford didn't start today. Maguire was given a rest. Hopefully Wan-Bissaka's back available. Luke Shaw Hopefully he's back available soon. And we're getting players back. And Mourinho was right about what? About what? This is not the same squad that Mourinho had. Have you seen this squad? Mourinho had this squad. Plus Alexis, Lukaku, Darmian, fucking all these players, Daley Blind, all these, that and the other, Zlatan at a time, Mkhitaryan, who he sold and then swapped. Like, so how can you even compare the two? Mourinho deserved to get sacked. He may have been right about some things, like I agreed with him when he should have got a defender and all that. But also, he signed Lindelof and Bailey, bruv. Mourinho deserved to get sacked. Mourinho said that himself. Mourinho said he deserved the sack. So, yeah, Mourinho was right. People acting like Mourinho is the saviour of United fans and he stood up against the Glazers. Load of bollocks, get a grip. He signed a new deal with them. Do you think he signs a new deal with them if he ain't? He worked with the Glazers. He praised the Glazers at time. He praised Ed Woodward at a time. Stop acting as if this guy was a saviour and he was standing up for Man United fans, because he simply wasn't. Anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in to AdamMcKola TV. Make sure you're keeping it like, comment, share and subscribe. Remember, fan cams are coming up on Full-Time Devils very soon as well. Even though I'm not out there, fan cams will be up on Full-Time Devils. So make sure you're keeping it locked for that. And for now, I've been AdamMcKola, and this has been the reaction to the United's bore draw with Alkmaar out in Holland. 4 points out of 6 now in the Europa League. That's okay, I suppose. If we win our home games, we are through. But we've got to go and win our home games. And playing in this form, it'll be a surprise if we do that. Anyway, I've been AdamMcKola. I'm gone.